I'd like to call the meeting to order, please. Tonight is the December 12th, 2016 Fond du Lac School District Board of Education regular meeting. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Breister.
Here.
Hayes here. Jones. Net. Strand.
Here.
Uselman.
Here.
Churchella.
Here. We have 5 board members present. A quorum is present. And prior to the Pledge of Allegiance tonight, we will observe a moment of silent reflection, and then the pledge will be led by the STEM Academy students. Thank you. And now, would the STEM Academy students and Mr. Smith step forward and lead us in the pledge? Well, thank you, and welcome, and good evening. Thank you for being here.
Yes.
And Mr. Smith, who do you have with you tonight?
Actually, I'll let them introduce themselves. I just want to say thank you for letting them come here and say in traditional STEM form. We're going to try to take a step back and let them take it away.
Absolutely.
Hi, I'm Emerson. I'm Kendra. I'm Ron. And I'm Max. So STEM. Science. Technology. Engineering. And math. So our normal day. So we start the day off with mentor meeting, and then we go to math, which is basically a mini lesson, and then we go off and practice it on our own. And then we have brain break, which is recess. And then we go to literacy, which is like math, except we're learning about reading and writing. And then we have lunch. And then we have our first project time. And then we have another recess. And then sometime during our second project time, we'll have presentations. And then we end the day with our mentor meeting.
Our school is student-led, and that's really important to our school. And we also have mentor time, and so it's different on every day. So on Mondays, we basically do some collaboration things, and then on Tuesdays, we just kind of have a class discussion. And then on Wednesdays, we will watch inspirational videos and quotes. Then on Thursday, we just give a thumbs up to somebody who we have noticed has been doing a great job that week. And then on Friday in the morning, we basically have a show and tell. And then in the afternoon, we have Student of the Week. And there's 2 students chosen to be Student of the Week. And they're just students who have been doing a good job that week. And every end of the day, we also have reflection, which is where we just reflect on our learning and how we think we did that day.
Nice.
Project time is one of the most important things to STEM because STEM is project-based learning. The project process of STEM is you start with your project form and you will find standards that relate to your topic. Then you will create questions that relate to your topic and your standard. Then you research your questions that relate to your standard and your topic. Once you think you have enough research and it's enough to meet your standards, you will create your presentation. And a nice touch that you can add to your presentation is you can go into our green screen room and you can make a webcam, iMovie, really anything that's a video based in there. And it really adds a touch to your presentation. Then you will review and edit your presentation and your notes. Then you will present to your teacher, and your teacher will fill out a feedback form. The feedback form will have your standard, your grade, and then why you got it. And we're standard-based grading, so we have 1, 2, 3s, or 4s. 4s at the highest, 1s at the lowest.
Collaboration. So at our school, we do a lot with collaboration. We get together and we collaborate with some other classmates and other people in our school. sometimes we even get together and we do it with the institute. Some good things about the collaboration is we get to work with others besides just being all independent, and it makes it so we know how to work together instead of just doing the first just doing it by yourself. Some things we do is we can and if we're doing a project, we can also do it with a partner instead of just doing it by ourselves, which also helps with collaboration. It doesn't make it you don't have to do a project by yourself, and so then you can have separate notes if you'd like, but you just present together, and it's really fun to do. Another thing we have is we have the presentation, which is we have the collaboration rubric. So what we do with the collaboration rubric is we take it and we look at the rubric, and we see how well we thought we did, and then how well we did before that, and see if we grew or if we did not grow.
Well, very impressive. What grades are you each in? Okay. All right. Do you have more of your presentation? Okay. I must say, part of your public speaking skills are fantastic for fifth graders. It really shows that you're giving presentations. It shows here in front of this audience and the TV audience that you have no shyness about you in doing that, and I'm really impressed. I think everybody else up here is too.
I can tell you, I know a couple engineers, and they got nothing on you guys. Okay?
Yes. How long does it take you to complete a project generally? How long does it go?
Maybe about a week or two.
Week or two, and then you present it?
Yes.
And then do you make changes to it at some point if you need to?
You can if you don't think you did good enough, or you think you could do better, you can go back and redo parts of it.
Okay.
You reassess your standards.
You reassess your standards.
Perfect.
And I'm assuming you're all doing quite well by what I'm hearing here. And you like going to STEM Academy?
Yes.
Great. Did you go to any of the other schools in the district before STEM Academy at all?
We all did because it's a well, I didn't.
Okay. And you're happy where you're at, it sounds like. And Mr. Smith, you must be quite proud of this group.
Yes, they are. This is Miss McGrath as well, and she's quite pleased with them as well.
Yes.
They're doing great.
Very impressive. Any board members have any other comments for this?
No, but
Talented
well,
group?
I think they're very impressive, and you seem to really understand standard-based grading and assessment and some of the other terms that you learned. So that's very impressive.
Yes. Hopefully you can come back when you're part of the Institute in another year or two and tell us how you like it even more. So I want to say thank you, Emerson, Max, Ram, and Kendra, for being here tonight. Come back and see us again, please. Thank you for being here.
Very well done.
Next on the agenda is announcements and communications. First announcement is that there will be no second school board meeting in December. And the next announcement is that following adjournment of the regular meeting, the board will convene in a workshop to discuss proposed new courses at Fond du Lac High School for the 17-18 school year, and also contracted services regarding translators and interpreters. Following adjournment of the workshop, the board will convene in an executive session to consider a student expulsion and also to reconsider, if necessary, pending approval of the reconsideration motion, the 2016-17 administrative compensation to be held at a future board meeting as provided for in Wisconsin statutes 19.85, 1A, C, and F. Next on the agenda is our audience to visitors and delegations. First, we do have I'll call it a visitor, Mr. John Williams on behalf of the Association of Fond du Lac School Administrators.
Good evening.
Good evening.
on behalf of the administrators, we'd like to wish you all happy holidays. And as our appreciation of everything you do for the students and the support that you give us, we made a donation to the Fondy Food Pantry in your name. So just wanted to wish you happy holidays.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing that. That's greatly appreciated and a nice gesture. Is there anyone else during audience to visitors and delegations who wishes to address the school board? Please step forward and identify yourself. With your name and your address, please.
I'm Greg Fryer. My family and I live at 1411 Primrose Lane, and I help out around the district as a substitute teacher. And I wanted to come to the board and tell you about, we've all heard about some of the worst sides or the darker sides of social media, and I wanted to bring something to your attention about an application that's on smartphones that might help some of the kids. And you might have heard of this. It's called Sit With Us. It was created by a 16-year-old girl in California, and I think it's best described in that girl's own words. She wrote, Sit With Us was inspired by a miserable experience of being bullied in middle school. Apart from the verbal taunts and violence, one of the worst things was having to eat lunch alone, and the embarrassment of having others see me eating lunch alone. Sit With Us was born because I am committed to making sure that other kids don't suffer as I did. I believe that seemingly small incremental changes in the overall dynamic of a school community can bring about change so that everyone feels welcome and included. I believe that every school has upstanders like me who are happy and willing to invite anyone to join the lunch table. It is my hope, with people pledging to be ambassadors at their schools, that no one will feel left out. And this is an app that can be downloaded on iTunes. And you may have seen this. It's been on the network news. And I'd like to suggest that the board reach out to and coordinate with high schools and maybe middle school administrators to recruit some of these children who are more social media adept to become ambassadors who might use this app. And what they could do then is to, by promoting this, maybe be able to serve to bring some of these kids who don't have a place to eat, to invite them in and allow them to sit at tables. Now, in support of what I'm suggesting is I'd like to mention a study that was publicized. It involved 50 New Jersey middle schools which provided their most socially competent students with social media tools and encouraged them to use these tools to combat bullying. The result was a 30% reduction in reports of student conflict. Now, the study did not look at Sit With Us app, but I'd like to tell you about a girl who I met when I was substituting at Fondy Central. She started about a year ago at Fond du Lac High School, and she told me she'd come up from Chicago. She had no friends or family in the area, and during her first day at school, she was a bit intimidated by the lunchroom, being as large as it is. So she put her bag down on a chair and went off to get food, and then came back. And she just had decided that she would sit with anyone who sat next to that bag. But what had happened was someone had taken the bag and put it on the floor and then sat in that seat. Mm-hmm. And that set the tone for that whole year. And it was difficult for her that year. She's since gone to Fondy Central. She's doing better now, and she has goals to be kind of integrated into the maybe even join cheerleading. So I think that Fondy Central's done a great job for her, but that's the kind of thing that I think that this app might, it's a small thing, but an important one that could maybe help avoid some of these problems in the future.
Well, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you for presenting
Thank
that to us. Very interesting. Is there anybody else who wishes to address the board on any school district related matter? Please step forward.
My name is Pedro Arellano. I live at 349 East 9th Street. I'm here to talk about the interpreter. I know you're going to have a presentation, so it won't take too much time. One of the challenges that interpreters have is trying to interpret archaic language. I'm going to try to, I'm going to show you some poetry that I had to interpret for the kids recently, and I didn't do it with archaic language. I tried to make it more modern. This is what a translation of my Spanish interpretation was. She cries out with silent lips. Keep your ancient lands, your legendary pomp. Give me your tired, your poor, your masses your masses who yearn to breathe freely, your miserable, rejected ones, the ones who are teeming on your coasts. Send me those, the homeless, the ones who have been tossed by storms. Send me them. Behold, I hold my lamp beside the golden door. Of course, the poem at the foot of the Statue of Liberty. Earlier this year, I had to read a story written by a boy that had to go through the Holocaust. This boy ended up having to sleep on top, or didn't realize it, but he slept on top of some corpses in that book. This is before the Holocaust. One of my kids seemed like kind of a smug and had a little smirk on his face, and I thought, oh my goodness, what's that about? So I asked him. And he said, that's nothing. I've seen stuff like that. And I was like, come on. And he said, no, I did. The gangs like just killed this one guy, just threw him underneath the bridge and just left him for everyone to see. So my purpose of reading that poem is that these kids that I interpret for, they're not coming from countries that have a lot of opportunity. They are the rejected ones. They are the ones, some of them homeless, literally homeless. I have some kids that are homeless. Hero stories very rarely start off with a kid who's rich and who started off with a lot of opportunity. This country was built by immigrants. And I think the people who get a chance, who don't deserve it, the ones who are rejected, will work very hard for that person that gives them the opportunity. This country is giving them opportunities. So I would say, as you consider paying the interpreters, how much are you willing to invest in them? And I'm not asking you to invest in me, because honestly, I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to be around, especially if it stays at $10.75 an hour, just to be honest. But I can tell you that I'm not asking you to invest in me. I'm asking you to invest in those kids. Pay these interpreters so that they can do a job that those kids deserve, and then we will reap the benefits. Our country will reap the benefits from people who will give all their effort to pay back a debt for the grace that was shown to them that was undeserved. So, and one last thing. The last time I came before you, I mentioned that I knew of two interpreters who were looking for other jobs, and specifically told me it was because they were not being paid enough. Since then, those two are gone. Thank you.
Thank you again,
Thank
Mr. Ariano, for being here. Is there anyone else who wishes to address the board at this time during the audience to visitor and delegations portion of our meeting agenda? Okay, seeing no further, we will close that portion. Move on to the approval of the consent resolution agenda. Board members have been provided background material and information on each item or have discussed it at a previous meeting. These items will be acted upon with one vote without discussion, and any board member may remove an item from the agenda, and that item would then be discussed and voted on separately. Could I have a motion for the consent agenda, please?
I move to approve the consent agenda as follows. Approval of minutes, November 14th, 2016 Board of Education regular meeting, workshop, and executive session as presented. November 28th, 2016 Board of Education regular meeting as presented. Business services approvals, the November financial statement accepted and its publication authorized. Current expenses, to approve the bills of the Board of Education in the amount of $9,252,894.66 and to have warrants drawn for their payment. Human Resources approvals, a resignation of Jeffrey Strotz, mathematics teacher at STEM Institute, effective December 31st, 2016, and a letter of temporary substitute employment effective the second semester of the 2016-17 school year, Brian Holzman, 1.0 FTE physical education teacher at Tyson Middle School at level 9.
Second.
I have a motion by Uselman and a second by Breister. Would the clerk please call the vote?
Can we
Discussion?
discuss? Breister.
Stand by on that.
Hang on.
We have some discussion portion. Please go ahead.
I was just wondering if, like with Mr. Stratz, he seems like he just started and he's leaving. Can we get a little,
Yeah.
can we just?
Simon can do that for you, sure.
Mr. Stratz came to see me several times. He actually was teaching CAP courses in North Fond du Lac, and they couldn't find people to teach the CAP courses, and STEM really wasn't what he thought it would be in the beginning. In 2 years, he was at the high school, he thought that his skills would be used, so when he was out in North Fond du Lac, if he goes back to North Fond du Lac, the kids will get the college credits, is what he told me. So he wants to go back to North Fond du Lac, finish out the year, and he does plan on retiring at the end of the school year.
He had just started here in August, correct? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other question I had was, I noticed for the FIAD, there was a mention of a grant. I was just curious, was that,
That's a PEP grant. Drew Mitchell is now going to be overseeing that grant, so we needed to hire someone to fill his spot at Tyson.
Okay.
He'll be taking that on full-time that semester.
Thank you, Sharon.
Any other questions?
I just want to say thanks to Mr. Stratz. He's made an impact. My son had him for the first semester and enjoyed him very much, and we'll miss him, but I'm sure we'll get someone else in there that'll fill the bill, so thanks.
Very good. Now, please call the vote.
Preister,
Yes.
Hayes, yes. Jones, Strand,
Yes.
Uselman,
Yes.
Churchella.
Yes. Motion carries 5-0. Next on the agenda is individually considered resolutions. Tonight we have a resolution sponsored by Mrs. Uselman, motion to reconsider the 2016-17 administrator compensation at a future board meeting. The motion tonight will allow us to do so if it should pass. It does not allow us to act on any of this tonight. This motion is just for us to have the ability to reconsider. Ms. Uselman, if you'd like to make your motion.
Yeah. I move to reconsider the 2016-17 administrative compensation at a future board meeting as requested by myself.
Second.
Motion by Uselman and a second by Hayes. Motion is debatable or open for any discussion. If you'd care to give us your thoughts on the motion that was being made. I think this was a question that was brought up by several board members that we didn't have enough of a background, or the feeling was that we could use more background to discuss individual concerns on that administrator pay. And Mrs. Uselman voted in the majority and is now making the motion to reconsider, now been seconded by Mrs. Hayes. Does anybody else have any discussion on this?
Did you mean, yes.
I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
And it's more of a point of order as
Sure.
to the process for doing this. I just wanted to make sure that we were doing it the right way. So I was kind of looking at Robert's Rules of Order, and when I checked on reconsidering, and maybe this doesn't apply based on when we meet, but there's a line in there that says, proposal to reconsider can only be made on the day the vote to be reconsidered was taken or on the next succeeding day. And maybe there's an exception because we don't meet every day. And so I guess I just wanted to make sure that we were doing the right thing. I noticed there was an option to rescind the original vote, which could be done at any time.
Right.
So I just want to clarify
And in
that.
the scheme of the rules, of Robert's rules, there are other rules that do allow this motion to be introduced at a point after
Okay.
the vote has been taken. And we're using that as our option in this case. But typically, that would be something that came to light during the meeting, and something like this came to light after the meeting for discussion purposes. And I'm still ruling this to be in order, and that's why I allowed it to be put on our agenda tonight.
I just wanted to ask.
Right, but
Sure.
you're very correct in that. Any other discussion?
Well, I agree to reconsider it for two reasons. One, I sometimes, we get these motions and we just automatically rubber stamp them. Maybe that isn't always the proper thing to do. We can ask questions and things like that. The other thing is, it brought to my attention that, and I know this, and I brought it up before, we got so many principals that are just doing terrific jobs and take on tasks and other things. I mean, I'm not gonna paint things with broad brushes, but I'm just saying, I think that there are are so many people well deserving of it, so. Yep.
Very nice.
Okay. Any other comments or discussion on the motion?
Well, I think I'd like to reiterate what Mark just said about the excellence in our administration. And I think that much of the public and other school board members may not realize we have two premier schools. And that is just very unusual to get such high ratings. And we have, our report cards have come back so excellently. And that has come about because of the hard work of our administrators. And also our administrators have advanced degrees and a lot of experience, and they work very hard, and I think they're doing a great job in leading the teachers forward.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. If there are none, would the clerk please call the vote on the motion to reconsider?
Hayes, yes. Strand,
Yes.
Uselman,
Yes.
Georgella,
Yes.
Breister.
Yes.
Pardon?
Yes.
And the motion passes 5-0. That item will be at a future board meeting, presumably in January, for discussion. And that will also trigger our having the executive session tonight after our first executive session. All right, thank you. Next, board and administrator reports. Mr. Superintendent.
All right, thank you, Mr. Georgella. First one is just another review of winter concerts and performances. And we have several coming up this week and next week. Lots of elementary activity. Sabish Choir, a middle school performance tonight in the Little Theater. Tomorrow, the Lakeshore Winter Program and the kids from Lakeshore at the PAC. On the 14th, Wednesday, we have the Evans Christmas Program and the Roberts Christmas Program. On the 15th, we have Chegwin and Riverside choruses, as well as the Rosenau Program. On Friday, we have the 5th grade orchestra performing at Parkside and the Parkside K2 and chorus. On the 18th that's a Sunday, we have the first ever and first annual Tuba Christmas at Fond du Lac High School under the direction of Mr. Chris Barnes. That should be a real treat and exciting. And on the 20th, we have the 5th grade band and orchestra Night of Fun concert. So that all comes right on the heels of the Night of Silence, who I know many of you had the opportunity to attend. And in talking with some of you, I know you were just as impressed as I was. Just an absolutely tremendous and powerful performance where there's credit that can be showered all over there, from the directors who do an amazing job, to the students who are seamless in their transitions and high level in their performance, to the set and the way that the entire PAC is made beautiful for the holiday season, to the partnership with Hometown Tickets, which makes it very easy for people across the community to get their tickets. There's just Marty Schibelhut for coordinating the live stream of yesterday's performance, along with our technology department and Mr. Smith from the high school. So just tremendous amounts of excitement.
It truly was. The coordination involved there was phenomenal.
Yeah. Yes,
Phenomenal.
it's a beautiful way to recognize the holiday season. So, with that time of year, though, we also start thinking about weather-related closings and delays. And so once again, this year, Mr. Williams and I, we work very closely on that together. We have a new feature this year where he and I are getting updates from the National Weather Service, which is really nice. I mean, from some YouTube videos, some nice PowerPoints and presentations that they're sending to us as a service to school districts, which is really nice. So that will help us. And should we get into scenarios where we need to either delay or cancel school, we'll use our SkyAlert mass notification system, which can get out calls to the entire district, students and staff, in a relatively short period of time, as well as emails. We use our social media, and then we also use various local TV stations, Channel 2, 5, 11, and 26, to communicate, and then numerous radio stations, including our own local KFIZ 107.1 The Bull, and then our WFDL 1170 AM and Sunny 97. 7, as well as WTCX 96.1. And then we also use some Oshkosh channels, WPKR 99.5, WOSH 1490, WVBO, the oldies, which are now the 80s, by the way, which I really enjoy.
no,
103.9 and Christmas music right now. WNAM 1280, that doesn't seem like it
The
should be old,
80s
does
should
it?
not be oldies, no.
And then WWWX 96.9 FM. So we have lots of ways to get the word out, and looks like the next chance of some good snow is Friday, which is interesting. So we'll see. We'll watch that very closely. And with that being, after some real cold, and then with that being said, we also just want to say, as Mr. Williams did a nice job saying earlier, certainly happy holidays to all of you. It's a pleasure to have your service to the district, and goes a long way in helping the district be a great place to live, learn, and to work. So thank you.
Well, thank you, and to you as well, and to all of our teachers and our other staff and our administrators. And now we're on to board members, student, staff activities. Mrs. Hayes, anything for us?
I attended the Junior Honor Society induction at the Performing Arts Center for the middle school students. I thought that was a really nice program and presented very well. And I also attended the middle school orchestra performance at the Little Theater last Thursday evening, and that had a huge attendance. It was really packed. And
I didn't
again,
even see you there.
Oh,
It was that busy.
it was very nice also.
Yes, those were two, and I as well attended both of those, and they were run well. They performed well, and everything went smoothly, and the kids did a great job there as well. And I'll just repeat, the Night of Silence was really something to see. I can't believe the coordination that goes into that, and it came off seamlessly. Very impressive.
That's all I
Mr. Strand?
I just want to, we get schoolwork magazines, and I just thought, I thought this was kind of, just two things. It says, public schools are the cornerstone of our democracy. It is our public schools that will come together, different races, ethnicities, religions, genders, socioeconomic status, to learn about each other and how to work together. Our diversity is our strength. But they also said, with your ability to develop partnerships between local schools, private businesses, and community organizations, you can be a positive force for change. And that reminded me of that Career Correction Academy. You know, talk about putting something together that I think that's for the future of that trades and everything else. So I mean, when you see that kind of stuff about reaching out to businesses, and, I mean that makes sense to me. And when I read that, that's the first thing I thought about.
It's a great example.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Mrs. Uselman, anything?
Yeah, continuing in the mathletes at Roseno, which are always a great group to work with. And then I got over to Lakeshore a couple times, first to find out how Santa lost his job when they had their holiday reading night, which was quite the event. It's very impressive. And then I went back for the Hour of Code on Thursday morning, which was phenomenal. The little robots and things that the kids are using. It's all kids that come in before school. They try to get an hour of code in before school, and they've got teachers and volunteers that come in from all over the place, including one of our former teachers from Sheboygan comes over. I thought that was just amazing to see the excitement and the engagement there. I was very happy to see that the Night of Silence was online, and there were a bunch of neat posts on social media because there was a massive gymnastics meet this weekend, so I did not get over there, but I've been there before, and I know being live is not quite the same as seeing it online, but the performances they looked amazing again this year. And then, of course, we're seeing a lot of wrestling this year, so they're doing
sure.
that's a lot of fun, so.
Sounds very active, very active. Anything else from board members? Okay, next on our agenda is additional appropriate matters. Wondering if I could just get a quick remark from Mr. Williams. We got a brief update on the tennis courts. If you could just kind of share publicly too, what's gone on there?
All of the base work is done. The electrical poles, all of those, the pole bases are done. And now the project will wait until warmer weather, till spring, till they can get out to start putting the asphalt on.
And they got quite a bit done then
They got a lot
this
done,
fall
yeah.
into this time of year.
So that fall start really helped us get ahead of the game for spring. So let's hope for a warm and early spring so we can get on that project right away.
Great. Yeah,
So we should be ready for, I think our deadline is June 9th, hopefully at the latest. That all depends on weather how they get the asphalt to cure out. So, so it's really looking promising for early June.
Yeah, this was very good news, and thank you for that update.
You're welcome.
Any other board members have any additional appropriate matters they wish to bring up? Okay. Seeing none, this will be our second opportunity for audience to visitors and delegations. If anybody wishes to address the board, please step forward to do so. All right. Seeing none, we will close audience to visitor and delegations, and I'll take a motion for adjournment.
I move the Board of Education adjourn the regular meeting and convene in a workshop to discuss proposed new courses at Fond du Lac High School for 2017-18 and contracted services, translators, interpreters, followed by an executive session to consider a student expulsion and to consider, if necessary, pending approval of the reconsideration motion 2016-17 administrative compensation at a future board meeting as provided for in Wisconsin statutes 19.85, paren 1, paren A, C, and F.
Second.
Motion by Breister, second by Hayes. Would the clerk please call the vote?
Strand.
Yes.
Uselman.
Yes.
Reister.
Yes.
Hayes, yes. Trudgella.
Yes. Motion carries 5-0. Regular meeting stands adjourned. Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy New Year. Thank you for being here.
Of the course, what we think it's going to bring to our students, and anything else that they want to add. But yeah, Mr. Barnes has another commitment tonight, right?
Yes.
So we'll have you come on up to talk a little bit first about advanced music theory.
Great.
Yeah, that'd be great if you don't mind. We can bring it
Just a little low for you.
Yes.
Come a long way since 5th grade.
All right. Is it on? Is it
Yes.
on? Is it on? Okay. Currently at the high school, we have one music theory course, and my coworker in that subject is Allison Zeitler. She unfortunately could not be here tonight, but we have discussed this, and this is both of our second year in the district, and we've discussed that there's what we think is a better way, a more constructive way to run that class. And actually, the new course that Danica mentioned was the advanced music theory course. That's more actually similar to the course we currently have. The one that we're looking to add, I guess, would be the Intro to Music Theory course. So that course would cover a lot of the beginning stuff that we're covering right now. The current course is actually split into 2 separate semesters. So 1 year long is Music Theory 1, Music Theory 2. And our proposal is to have 1 year-long advanced music theory course and then 1 just semester intro to music theory course. One thing that Allison and I discovered very quickly is there's a very wide ability level and understanding of music going into it. We have students that have like literally never seen a piano before in their life and have no clue how to read music. And then we have students that are a year away from being majors in universities and colleges and conservatories throughout the nation. So we're trying to build a better program that we think would work better for a wider range of students instead of targeting just our music kids. So our goal would be to have the intro music theory course for younger students, and this would open up another grade level accessible to participate. But then have them be able to pass that intro course and advance into the advanced music theory course. And this is just, like I said, in hopes of opening up for more students and allowing a better progression throughout so the students can get more of an understanding and a better, wider understanding of the subject.
And this will open up music to more students then?
That is the goal. The goal for Intro to Music Theory is to literally start from square one. This is a music staff. These are notes. This is where they are on the staff. And just spend more time on that stuff. Then the advanced would also just do a quick review of all that stuff, but it would go by a lot faster. And then obviously go a lot further past that into closer to a college level theory course. Now the current class is not technically AP, but students are allowed to take the music theory AP test from it, and we actually had 4 students take it last year, and 3 of them passed. And got college credit or got passed out of a college credit course for music. So the goal would be to get more students prepared for that. I have also applied for and am still waiting to hear back about the CAP program from the University of Oshkosh for the advanced music theory course, which would give students that are not looking to major in music in college an opportunity to get an elective credit checked off before they get to school.
Great.
Mr. Barnes, that the intro to music theory, what grade level do you think most of them will come from?
Yeah, we're targeting sophomores and juniors. Just how scheduling works, we're probably going to get a lot more juniors than sophomores just because a lot of our sophomores are very busy already. But, I mean, any sophomore, juniors, seniors can take it, anyone that's just interested in learning the basics.
Other questions or discussion?
So are you proposing two courses, Intro to Music Theory and Advanced Music Theory, or are you?
Technically, yes, but really we're just renaming the one we currently have and restructuring just a little bit. But the one we currently have, like I said, is the 2 separate semesters that kind of go back to back, 1 and 2, and then the one that we're proposing is a full year, which is kind of the same outline, but hopefully moving a little bit faster, and then one would be the intro, which is just 1 semester. So really we're going from 2 semesters to 3 semesters of music theory.
And so the one course, the Advanced Music Theory, will carry Advanced Placement? That's an AP course?
For now, we are going to stick with students can take the AP test if they would like, but we're not going to call it an AP course quite yet. We are hoping for CAP for that specific course, not the intro course.
Okay, thank you.
Are you familiar with CAP and what that is? Other Danica could, or Chris could explain just a little bit about what it is.
Well, I'll do my best, and she can fill in
I'll
the
chime in.
blanks.
Go ahead.
CAP course is a program through University of Wisconsin Oshkosh and I believe some other universities that working with a university faculty member, like I would get the opportunity to have a mentor at UW Oshkosh, and we would go through curriculum and everything in order to get a compatible or comparable class here at the high school that would count towards a college credit at Oshkosh and also able to transfer to other UW schools.
The biggest advantage for students is that the credits are very inexpensive. I don't know if you know the cost per credit offhand. It's under $100 per credit, though. It's very cost effective for students and families to earn those credits. And the biggest difference between like CAP and AP, for AP students do have to take and pass a test in order to earn the credits, whereas with CAP, successful completion of the course allows them to earn the credits.
And it's cheaper than what it would be for them to take it as freshmen at the college then? Yeah,
Yes,
gotcha, okay.
Very much.
Very good, okay.
And one more thing, Mr. Barnes, I'm going to give you a chance for a free plug about Tuba Christmas.
Oh, okay.
If you care to.
Well, how much time do we have? Tuba Christmas is single-handedly the happiest, joyous occasion you will ever witness. It is an international thing, actually. So it started in Indiana at the university about 50 years ago. The tuba professor there had a composer write a bunch of really easy Christmas carols for 2 tubas and 2 euphoniums, all part of the tuba family. And they're all just Christmas carols, all in 4 parts. There's like 35 tunes in the book. And we will be doing a good handful, 12, 13 of them on that Sunday. Right now,
December 18th.
December 18th, yes. Concert at 7 in the PAC.
There you go.
Put it on the calendars. And we currently actually have 45 people registered to participate, so it will be a rather good first year. The biggest one close to us, Madison, has about 175.
Wow.
Very good.
Good start.
Well,
Yeah.
Well,
No,
thank
I'm
you.
very ecstatic with 45. So.
I hope it goes well. It
Me
sounds-
too.
It sounds
Me too.
fabulous. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Well, since we're talking about CAP, why don't we have Mr. Smith come up and talk about CAP writing for the media?
I'm a little bit shorter. So hi, so Mr. Smith with the journalism classes. And what I'm proposing is really sort of a realignment of some of my journalism classes at the school. Currently, my students can take print journalism for a year, so 2 semesters, or broadcast journalism for a year. And the first semester of both of those, because it's really the introduction to journalism, the definition of it, the initial reporting, press law and stuff, are very, very similar. It's almost the same thing. So I have an increasing number of students taking both, and so they're getting the same exact thing both semester. The first semester of that class, it's almost a repeat for many of them. So my proposal is to create or switch the first semester to a writing for the media class, just being a new class, That would also be a CAP course, because that is a course offered at UW Oshkosh. And I have already been accepted. I applied through that, and I've already got my account for that. That's been accepted as a CAP course already. So it would be a cool opportunity. So this would be the introductory semester. So the first semester of a student taking a journalism class at the high school. They could get the college credit at UW Oshkosh. And then from there, their next semester, they could take the print or the broadcast or both, and then move up through the advanced courses from there instead of having to repeat in order to switch the type of media.
So 3 semesters then, they do the one intro semester, and then they could choose to go either branch or both for another semester, or, okay.
What we're working on is that print and broadcast then would each be 1 semester after that. So your first semester would be writing for the media.
So it'd be like a prerequisite of this one, and then, go from
so
there.
to start, if you did it for a year, the first semester of the year would be the writing for the media course. You'd all be together. And then after that, your next semester would be either print or broadcast.
Okay.
And then if you wanted to take it, be an editor, that advanced year, that would still be a year course, your second year. Like as it is right now, where print 2 is a year-long course after you've done print 1.
Okay.
Broadcast 2 is a year-long after. So yeah, I think I'm hoping because that would be targeted. That writing for the media would be targeted at sophomores and juniors as well, if possible. It could be tough again, for sophomores to take, but getting those sophomores and juniors taking that there early on gives them that chance to take several, those advanced courses, which are a lot of courses, which are a lot of cool opportunities there to be like leaders in the school.
Sounds phenomenal.
It sounds very, very fascinating.
So the course that you're proposing is 0.5 credits, but if they took a subsequent course, then they would be worth 0.5 credits also.
If they took the print 1 or broadcast 1 after, yes. So they'd each be half a credit,
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, thank you, Mr.
Nice,
Smith.
Matt.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Sounds good.
Okay. Okay, so Ms. Bolin will talk to us then about the Project Lead the Way Biomedical Innovations.
Yes, and I will be I'm proposing to teach the 4th year. So it has been at Fond du Lac High School for 3 years, so we're just progressing to the 4th year. And so they were asked me if I would come in, and it's Biomedical Innovations is the course. So it is a course that has been built up with these kids, and they started when they were freshmen. Some of them actually that are in the 3rd year will be graduating this year, so there's a proposal of about 15 students. This would be their 4th year, and they really call it the capstone project. So the kids will take all the information that they've learned in the last 3 years with the other classes, and they will they'll do research projects on their own. I will just guide them where they need to go. And they have certain things they have to complete before they start the project. And there's 5 different things that they have to complete. One of them would be designing an emergency room. So they would have to go, we would propose them that we would go and visit emergency rooms. They would talk to the doctors. And then they have to actually present the project to people. And I've already talked to a couple doctors that are retired in the community that would you come in and see how they did. And they would have to present it. They have to look at health in a health problem with disease or environmental health issue. So they have to do some research ahead of time and then complete a project and present it to the people that they're working with. So they also have to go out into the public and get help from other people like scientists and doctors, things like that.
And they would choose among these, or these are all projects they
They're
would
all
do?
projects that they would have to do.
Okay.
So there's 5, and then there's an optional project. I have to go through the training yet this summer through MSOE, so I'm not sure exactly what that, if that optional project is something that's feasible with the time frame. It is a year-long class, so we just kind of have to see where they're at and how they're doing.
Do you have some students who started as freshmen that are juniors now who are interested in taking this coming up, or could be what, sophomores now?
Yeah, they would be juniors, so next year they would be seniors. And Miss Maynard has taught them for 2 years, and so they've had her for 2 years, and she said there's about 15 that are going to be finishing out the project.
That's great.
So.
Okay, any other questions from the board? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so Mr. Fendrick then will talk with us about college geology.
Okay, so college geology is going to be a brand new class at the high school. We currently just adopted next generation science standards. And with the new standards, there's 3 pieces to it. There's the life science part, physical science, and earth science. At this time, we do not have any year-long Earth Science classes, and also no year-long cum laude classes that are Earth Science. So I'm proposing our very first one for this fall. I am currently a professor at UW-Fond du Lac. I am the geologist on staff, so I teach night classes there actually. And with this geology class, we're focused on juniors and seniors. It's a 4-credit class at the college, and it's 1-credit class at the high school. And it's going to be mainly geology aspects with a little bit of environmental things with it as well.
Oh, you sound like the right guy to be in charge of this then.
Would this be for college credit or no?
Yeah, it's
Okay, yeah.
4 credit.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Right. No,
That'd
that
be-
sounds like a pretty good proposal too.
Yeah.
Again, at a reduced rate through our partnership with UW-Fond du Lac.
Okay.
Any other?
Similar to what we do with UWO.
Correct. This is,
Right.
we call this program dual and
Concurrent enrollment.
concurrent enrollment. Yes.
Any other
Get
questions
all our
from the
acronyms
board?
together.
Thank you, Mr.
That's
Federick.
awesome, Joel. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Computer science. So presenting about our Project Lead the Way computer science principles, we actually have Mr. Gunderson from the middle school who is teaching kind of an introductory course to the course that we're proposing here at the high school. And then Ms. King is the team leader for the business department at the high school.
Welcome.
Okay.
You can bring it down a little bit, Jenny.
Or you can That's better. Or I could just speak normally, right? I brought Mr. Gunderson over here because the program that I've been hearing about at the middle school with the Project Lead the Way course has been phenomenal across the board at all 3 buildings. And so I will not be the instructor at the high school. Mr. McBride, Glenn McBride will be the instructor. He has been doing our IT courses for, probably a good 5 years or so now already with web game animation, or cartoon animation, web design, web game design, and various programming opportunities. However, we do know that Project Lead the Way is full swing. It's full speed ahead. Mercury Marine, right? No. So I don't know if Eric, you can probably, the transition from the middle school up to the high school, I think the programs that they're going to be using, you guys are already kind of, and he might be able to actually explain how that
Sure.
teacher or instructors and trained to go about this. Sorry, I am just kind of like, yeah, go ahead.
So this last year, we decided to go with Project Introduction to Computer Science at the middle school level, and as Mrs. King has said, it's been overall, I mean, it's been a great experience for all the students that are in the classes. The increased engagement in the classes and all that stuff has went great. Right now, how they're building their apps and how we're doing the computer science is through MIT App Inventor. It is a free site that it links up with our Google sign-ins. The students go in there, they design Android apps in that class. They first start out with the designer view, they design how they want their app to look, and then they go into the blocks view and they use Blockly to write the computer code that does all the event handlers and stuff that teaches, or after the user does an event, it goes to the event handler to show the program how you want it to run and all that. And the students at the middle school have been eating up the course pretty, I mean, I did not believe it was going to go as well as it's going, as up to date right now. This summer when I was trained on it MSOE, we also did some programming in Python, which is another computer programming language. This class would come in, and this would be the code that they will be using for this class in the high school level. I don't know if there's any questions that I can help answer.
I'm just curious, could students come in cold to the Python class and still succeed, or would they have to have some background before they?
Well, from what I've read out of their course description, that their main requirement is an algebra course, but I think they'd be able to succeed coming in cold off of that.
So would this class be one that's in the engineering track of
Yes.
Project Lead the Way? And are there subsequent courses to this one in computer science as well, potentially?
This is going to be the main computer science
Okay.
course that follows that engineering pathway
Okay.
track. It'd be, I believe it's the 5th course.
Okay.
In that whole track for
Understand.
up at the high school.
Dan,
I actually think this is a different
I think it's a
track,
whole
and
track.
I could be.
Oh, I'm just following in here.
Oh, no, that's okay, and I could be off base on that, but based on
No, all three
conversations that
tracks.
we've
There will
had
be three
with
tracks, computer science,
Tammy Crew
biomedical.
Pickard, what it sounds to me as though it would be kind of a third Project Lead the Way track.
Okay.
Yes.
Although it wouldn't have, I don't believe, a full 4 years of courses like the
The others.
Biomedical Innovations does and the engineering does.
Okay.
And certainly for students that are involved in the engineering track, this would be a useful course that they could take as well. But it's an additional track that Project Lead the Way offers, and it would be the first course in that series.
So there might be some more courses in this
Potentially, depending on interest.
coming up. Okay, great. Thank you. Any other questions from the board?
Thank you both.
Thank you both. That's
It's awesome.
very exciting to
It's really
see
good.
this.
These are all really interesting
Okay, and then we'll have Marissa Lombardo will speak with us a little bit about the second course in the Spanish for Heritage and Native Speakers.
I was here earlier in the year about the first course, and for those that aren't familiar with that, that's a course for our native speakers, and it's a huge variety of kids. We have kids that are fluent in both English and Spanish. We have kids that are native Spanish speakers but speak zero English. And we just got the results back from their first computer adaptive test. They take that at the beginning of the year, they'll be taking it in January, February, they'll take it again at the end so we can kind of track progress. And the results on that are just as varied, because you have native speakers that speak no English, but they haven't necessarily been formally educated in their own language. And you have native speakers that are also fluent English speakers that have never read or written anything in Spanish because they don't need to. They're people that have always been here in our community, and Spanish is their home language, but not a formally educated language. So we are showing skill levels from mid-kindergarten to past 12th grade. The huge span, and depending on what the skill is, it's greatly varied between different kids. So it's been very interesting, and what we're talking about for the new course would be just the second year in that. We had originally had kind of a different setup, and we changed it based on what the students wanted to get out of that course. So now they have the first year native speaker course, in which they're doing some very deep, profound study in just the language itself, how it's put together, how you spell things, what things sound like, and then going into some literature and some history, and they have a textbook that they'll use the first half of that. The second year course, they would be using those skills again, continuing to review those skills and use those in the second half of the textbook. And the way that works out kind of with our regular Spanish courses, the first year is equal to Spanish 3, which is a Laude class. The second year would be equal to our Spanish 4, and we set it up that way because we also had some of these kids that are very advanced already, want to be able to take Spanish 5 and get credit because that is a CAP course. So that allows them to have this experience and build their skills, and when they get to the regular Spanish 5 class, then in reading and writing, their skills hopefully will be on par with the other Spanish kids taking, or the Spanish studying students that are taking Spanish 5 for credit. And I had a conversation about 2 weeks ago with Elaine Horke-Augustine, who does our ESL, and those kids are going to be taking the ELL access test soon, and she and our instructor, Jennifer Hayes, are going to be coordinating on that as well, so that they can track that data both for their English and their Spanish, and be able to see the progress over those 2 years in both languages.
So how big of a course, or how many students would you anticipate in this course?
Well, that's very interesting to figure out, because right now we have 34 kids taking the first year, and we've got probably 15 more that would like to take that.
Okay.
And interest in that has grown as the year progresses. So I think we're going to have no problem having a full one section of that for the second year, and for the first year, we will have another section and possibly 2, depending on how that interest goes.
Okay. Not surprised to hear that, but that's good. I mean, I'm glad you're bringing this forward.
There's been very good feedback from community members, from parents of these kids. Very excited about them being able to learn those skills that are skills oftentimes that the parents do not have themselves. They have not
Sure.
been able to use, and be able to use those in the workplace and in their careers.
Right, right. Any other questions from the board on this?
But that sounds very
No,
good.
it's excellent, Marissa.
Very
Yeah.
exciting.
Thank you, Ms. Lombardo.
Thank you.
Again. That's 6, right? That
That's
we
all of
made?
them.
Any discussion from the board? One of the things that gets brought up is when these new courses get introduced, do other courses go away? Or what, we can,
Sure. No, it's always a good question, and sometimes that can happen, but typically at the high school, when they create their schedule, what happens is students express their interest in courses, and then courses that have enough interest run, and courses that don't have enough interest don't run. So some of that dropping off of courses just happens naturally
Sure.
through the student selection process.
And I take it the administration endorses these
Yes.
courses to be
Yeah,
approved?
very much.
Absolutely.
Very much.
Okay.
I think it's a pretty tremendous process that Danica has put together. I mean, it originates, as you can hear, it originates from the teachers and in the departments, and then it goes through the team leaders at the high school, and then ultimately comes to our administrative review team, which has representatives from every level to look at them, and Ms. Simon is part of that, because we look at the staffing implications, and we look at all the pieces, certifications, and what does it mean for us. But ultimately, it just keeps the high school really, really fresh, and we're really grateful for your ideas and ways to streamline things and create new ideas, and ultimately then, like Danica said, it's really, the high school is driven by the students and what they want to see and what they want to take, so it's tremendous. And I mean, there aren't too many schools like Fond du Lac High School that have the array and vastness of offerings that we have, so it's a real credit to the teachers that are here today and to everybody that works at the high school.
I agree, and this will serve our community in so many ways here as I look at these course proposals.
I agree also, and I just want to thank the teachers who started the process, because this is so exciting to give our students so many different opportunities at Fond du Lac High School. And it really means a lot to students and their parents to have them be able to earn college credit and CAP credit, because as Danica pointed out, it really saves on tuition costs. I've read of students who have earned 2 years, the first 2 years of college, by taking advantage of courses like this and other courses through student course options. And it's interesting along the same light that the president of the University of Wisconsin system, Dr. Cross, is really promoting this and really wants the high school to become the first 2 years of colleges. I don't know if you've read anything about that, but those are the discussions that are going on at the state level of the Wisconsin Association of School Boards.
Just have a question about the process. And maybe it's because these are high school classes, but it mentions that there's an administrative review team at the district level, and when it talks about the people that are on that, there's nobody from the high school on that. Is that because this is the high school that they're
Sure.
looking at, or?
Yes, and the high school is always present, so, yeah, I mean, typically, we have had a high school representative always, and usually there's multiple high school principals present, so this year when we discussed the new courses, both Mrs. Hagan and Mrs. Lombardo were part of that discussion as well.
But there's nobody from the high school on that team right now?
Mr. Snyder served in that position in the past, and so
Okay.
then this year, Mrs. Lombardo and Mrs. Hagan were part of that.
And what will be our timetable for ultimately approving these or acting on these?
Well, assuming that you're comfortable with them, we would be in a position to bring them forward at the next board meeting, January 12th.
Okay.
That's all right with you?
Good.
I think that would be very appropriate, and I don't see anybody not in favor of these. These are all well thought out, I think, and going to be welcomed classes. Okay, look forward to it then. Thank you, everyone, for presenting on this. It's
Thank
very
you very
informative
much.
for us. Thank you for being here. If there's nothing further then on the new courses, we can move on to discussion of the contracted services, translators, and interpreters. Thank you.
Okay, so Wendy and I have been working over the last month or so trying to put together some numbers for you, and then we went to other districts to see how they provide the services. But before we start tonight, I want to recognize some people in the audience. We have Stacy Buchholz with us, who is the principal that really oversees the ELL in our district. And she does a tremendous job working with our English language learner staff teachers, as well as our interpreters and our translators. And with that being said, we have a host of teachers of our English language learners, as well as some translators in the audience tonight. So thank you for being here. So we have started, we went back and looked at the numbers of students that we've served over the last decade or so. And actually, we have maintained, and that's not in your notes, we've maintained a pretty solid population. Back in 2005-06, we had 433 ELL students in our district, and today we have 426 students in the district. What we've noticed the trend, though, is at the younger levels, we have more and more students that are ELL. And you know, if they're in the district with us throughout that whole time, generally students test out that they are no longer requiring services. So that's kudos to our teachers at every level that are doing an excellent job. But today we have several, what year was it, Danica, that we put students back in their home schools? 13, 14. Prior to 13-14, we had really magnet schools, Riverside and Chegwin, where our students were bused to for ELL services at the elementary school. Sabish was the middle school. Since 2012-13, students have gone back to their home schools. So we have at this time currently 11 ELL teachers, 2 of which are bilingual teachers or have the bilingual certification. And we have 11 translators and interpreters. So if you look at the data, the first sheet really just is the budget sheet. You can see what the cost is to manpower. You can see Wendy costed it out also with if we paid people 28.75 hours, and that would be in the district. 30 hours is when people receive benefits. And then the cost to the district, if we worked at a 35-hour work week with full benefits, but this is only at a single plan and a single plan for insurance and not a family plan. Any questions on that? We would put them on the group. We go into the instructional assistant. Right now, if we did this today, we go into our instructional assistant salary schedule.
What's the 1766? Is that?
That's what Manpower charges us.
So Manpower charges you $17.66 per hour, but they're paying the people $11 per hour. Is that right?
The contract says that.
Okay.
Yeah. If the employee works with us for 5 years or more, that's not shown on here because none of them are 5 years or more. They would have be paid $12 an hour by Manpower.
So there's a cutoff at which they become eligible for benefits? Is that what the rest of this is?
Yes.
Okay, and how many people work that many hours for us of the interpreters then?
Right now, I think most of them work about 32 and a half hours per week.
So most of them are up there?
Right.
Okay.
And you can see the records we have go back to 1995 that they have contracted services with Manpower. So
to what year? I'm sorry.
1995.
Okay.
It's the last line.
It's on there. It's the last line, and you can see the history of the cost. But I think more importantly, we should look at what other districts are doing and. What we did is we called the our people in our county as well as our athletic conference. It's hard to compare people in our own county just because they don't have the numbers to support even hiring ELL staff for the most part, or they have a teacher that works with everybody. But I think if you go to our athletic conference, if you look at Menasha and Appleton have the largest ELL populations. And Appleton is really the only district that hires a lot of interpreters. They have 1 or 2 at every elementary school. You can see they have 1.5 to 2 at every middle school, and you can see their pay rates also.
What's the pay rate for Menasha?
That they did not give me. but Menasha and Danica can talk maybe a little bit about that. They run more of a, I believe, a dual language program.
They have a bilingual school. Yeah.
Right,
Oh, so a lot of their ELL students land there.
right. So that's why that number, I believe, looks lower, that they only have 2 to 3 translators. If you look at Nina, their population is 2.36, but they hire 3 translators that only work with parents and none with students. So, as you can see, there's a diverse array of what people are doing.
Do we know what Oshkosh pays its 5 interpreters?
They're paid, like their instructional assistant rate as well.
What is that rate?
I didn't bring that with me. We can get that to you.
Our page 1 that we were looking at, is that the instructional assistant rate, or this page?
Correct.
That's the instructional
That's our
assistant
current
rate?
instructional assistant rate, correct.
So, I mean, in your opinions, is it feasible for us to hire our own employees to do this?
Well, I guess there's 2 things. Yes, I do think it's feasible. At our current level, if we had to do it today, that might be another story. So, I've been doing some more investigating. I actually called somebody in charge of, at DPI, a bilingual bicultural grant that we can write possibly to bring more money into the district. So, and we also have a contract with Manpower. So if we back out of Manpower right now, that's gonna cost money to the district also. So
How far does that contract, when does it expire?
Yeah, when does it expire?
Well, the penalties are based on how many hours the employee has worked with our district. So if it's like a new person who's just started, then there's a penalty based on there's a placement fee. So as the individual works with our district more hours, once you get over 721 hours that they've worked with us, then there isn't a placement fee. So,
So there's not a clear-cut answer.
Yeah.
We would
So-
have to go back to see
So
how
it's a
many
person
hours
by
everybody's
person fee?
actually worked for us to figure out how many people would no longer require the fee and how many people we'd have to pay a fee to.
So we have
for.
11 working at 32.5 hours a week. Is that correct?
that's what we had when we started putting this document together, yeah.
Correct.
So if we went to a 40-hour week, we would have fewer, correct?
If we went to a 35-hour week and we were, if you
Oh,
look.
is that the 35 hours
Yeah.
instead of
That's
40?
the standard
Okay.
week, yeah. You can see it goes, for what we're paying Manpower is 229,809, and it would cost us 276,697.
And that's based on 11 people, though.
That's based on 11 people,
And
at a
it's
single
based on
benefit.
single insurance.
Right.
Single.
And if an individual takes family coverage, it's double
Oh.
the benefit rate.
Would we
benefit
need
rate
as
is-
many if they were working 35 hours? If they were full-time, would we need as many?
I would say yes. And the thing is, we've got people spread out throughout
I
the
was gonna say,
district.
it's geography,
It's,
yeah.
a lot of it is geography.
There's no way to look at that and try to streamline it to create
Well,
positions that would be affordable and pay a decent wage and,
and that's why we're presenting this tonight.
Yeah.
As I started digging and unearthing more, I think there's things that we should be looking at. And I know Danica and Wendy and I and Stacy would work together to figure out where we're at, so. We also, we have bilingual teachers that are certified as bilingual bicultural teachers who are now teaching like 1st and 2nd grade. So there might be money that we can recoup from the state for that. So I think there's other ways for us to look at bringing more money in to maintain our current level. But I also think, Peggy, this is the time for us to maybe even look at it district-wide to streamline or say, you know what, this isn't adequate enough, we might need more.
I was
and
gonna say,
figure
maybe,
out.
what I keep hearing is that we need more adults in the classrooms with the number of kids we have and the needs of the kids these days, that we could use more adults rather than fewer, but.
Well, and the thing is, things change too. I mean, level 1 and 2s need a lot of support, you know, and especially if they're in high school. Those are, you know, pretty close to non-English speaking at all, than 3s and 4s and 5s and 6s. So it's hard to say on any given year because we don't know what levels kids will come in at. And Stacy would be the person that would know, and that's how we do our staffing based on the needs of our students.
And so could you create a level of interpreter? I mean, if someone's needed at a higher skill level, I mean, could you have various levels and various pay? I mean, I'm just, $11 an hour for what I hear they're doing is.
And I would agree with you, Peggy.
Yeah.
I think we need to look at that. Interpreters and translators bring a very different skill set to our district. And, you know, we've talked about this for years, but we've never really looked at it. And I think this is the time for us to do that. And I agree that maybe it's on the IA schedule, but there's a different pay grade for that. And maybe it's a different set of things that translators and interpreters will have to be able to do when they come to the district. Because that's part of as I was looking at the bicultural, it's the state statute and the money that you can get for people, but everybody has to be able to read, write, and speak in their native language, as well as read, write, and speak in English. So I think, like I said, I think we just scratched the surface. These are just numbers and things we've gathered from other school districts, but I think if we came up with something today, I think it would be a Band-Aid. I think we can do a better job, and I think we can look more deeply at it.
Do you have any forecast for our ELL population percentage going up or down going forward?
It's been pretty steady the last 3 years. 2014-15, it was 426. Last year it was 425. This year it's 426. It's been above 400 since 2011-12.
And that, as a percentage of our population, is consistent as well?
I would say.
Yeah, because our enrollment hasn't changed that much over the last several years.
Okay.
Well, it would be interesting if you could bring those sums back to the board. Like how much it would cost to get out of,
Sure.
Are there things we use
Manpower
manpower for
and-
other than this, or no? This is it?
Just this.
because I think the board really wants to move forward on this.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my
Yeah, I think we would
interpretation
like
of
to
the-
see more in the direction of how could we make these our employees
Right.
and
Well,
afford
first of
to.
all, let's take a look at what it would take to end that relationship with Manpower.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah,
it
I
makes,
think
doesn't
that's
make a lot of
crucial.
sense. I mean, sounds to me like we're paying their rent and lights and everything else.
Well, okay, the employees paid $11 an hour, but then you have to pay FICA, Medicare, and that's another 7.65%. And then, you know, they do the background checks, drug tests, education verification. There's other things that they all, you know, do on behalf of us.
They're a business. I
Could-
mean, they're
It's
in
a
this to make
servi-
money.
it's a
I
service
mean,
and, yeah,
they're
right.
not doing it because, you know.
Well, and I think it too is when we only were hiring 1 or 2 people, it was
That
different
made
than now
sense.
we have 11
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
So.
You know, workers' comp is another thing they have to.
Sure. Yeah.
Do you get a sense that if these were our own employees, the turnover would be less than it is?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think it's the benefits, more so than anything. People are
Okay.
looking for benefits.
So we're looking for, well, somewhere between $50,000 and $100,000 difference then, with all the benefits included from what we're paying now?
Right.
So to move forward, what would we need to look into next to
That's a good question.
examine this further?
Well, obviously, we have to have conversations with Manpower.
Right.
On how their contract works. The two of us and Danica and Stacy need to meet to talk about
Sure.
options.
Right, yeah, because right now, we're actually at 7 interpreters, correct, Stacy? Thank you. We're at 7 interpreters right now because we've had 4 people quit. in, I don't know, the last month. Right.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
right
and
now,
that's unsettling to me to hear that,
Mhm.
and I'm sure it is in the schools too.
Mhm.
If we could present, this as an attractive package to get employees to do this, I think that would be a great step.
right.
And I'd really like you to follow through on the manpower thing.
Okay.
But I'd also I think it'd be interesting for you to talk to our first and second grade teachers who you mentioned. They're teaching first and second grade, and if we could use them with, of course, their agreement to.
Do they get a stipend if they have that
Could we
extra?
use them as interpreters in some sense?
language
With a stipend or anything like that? Could we expand their duties if they wanted them expanded, or?
You mean like
or-
outside the school day, or because,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. Mhm.
I don't know if anything would come of that, but it'd be interesting to see if you could
Well,
think of some way that we could use their strengths and compensate.
and they were
them.
ELL
Yeah,
teachers in the
compensate
district
them
before they
appropriately.
became regular education, classroom teachers, or grade level teachers, so.
Yeah.
You have a question?
I guess we were, just what Elizabeth, she said it at the end there, to use their skills, but also compensate appropriately for
Mhm.
expecting that
Yeah.
extra from them, yeah, so.
Okay.
Definitely.
Why don't you look into however severing manpower would look?
Okay.
What that would look like, and I think we'd like to take up this discussion again at some
Mhm.
point in the near future.
Yes.
Because it is, I think, an attractive route for us to go with, our population's not going down, and
Yeah,
the
and-
demand is there, it seems like.
Even to bring them into our family of employees, and not have them kind of be on the fringe. I mean, I think that what Pedro said earlier about this being an investment is an important statement.
Mhm.
Right.
So maybe we could have another workshop in January or early February, whenever you get all this data together.
Well, we're gonna
We
look
don't
at
want you to
manpower,
work over
right?
vacation,
Yes.
What?
but we don't want you to work over Christmas vacation.
Oh, no, I'll work over Christmas vacation. I don't have a problem with that. I just,
bring
I
you
mean,
cookies.
what I'm hearing though, moving forward is it's a matter of, we're gonna make them district employees, which is a great thing. It's a matter of how
Let's
many
try to
we're
figure out
going
how
to
we can-
have,
Right.
what
If
we
we can afford it,
Right.
and
Right.
where we can get resources to make it happen, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm hopeful about what you said about the grant opportunities and
Right.
things, yeah, so, okay.
Anything else from the board members on this?
No.
Any other
Thanks,
direction that
thanks
you'd
to the
like-
committee and people who've been looking at this, yeah.
I mean, I think if we can have district employees, and if we need to, in a pinch, supplement with a manpower,
Well,
No.
my question, is there, do we need board approval on this, or can we just move forward? I mean, do you feel confident?
You'd bring it back as a proposal,
I'd like
wouldn't
you
you,
to
or?
bring it back.
yeah, at
another
least,
report.
at least
Okay.
discuss it once more with us
Okay.
when you have some more
Sure.
figures, but,
Because this is kind of, this is good information, but it's not a proposal yet.
Right.
So if
No.
we can get it to that shape, then we can vote on something,
and it would
right?
ultimately be a budget item, would it not?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Question, it might be a private
Sure.
question for Sharon, so you can tell me if I'll ask her later. With the 4 openings that we have, then we've waited. Because by hiring 4 new people, that's where your fees come in.
Okay.
Oh, for
The ones who
manpower.
have been working, the fees will be minimal, because they're close to that $700.
Okay.
Okay.
So we've just been waiting. So
Mm.
schools have just been without, and I understand you cannot decide tonight, but should, and maybe I'll ask Sharon later. should
Yeah,
we
let's
calling manpower tomorrow.
get it
Need people,
rolling.
or should we just wait?
I mean, certainly if there is a strong need, I wouldn't overlook that. But sure, find out what you need to find out. I think we'll be fairly supportive of what you need to get done.
I got a question. What happens if you advertise for interpreters? You're not bound by manpower if you advertise, right?
With our current employees, that's who, with the current manpower employees, those are the people that we would have to pay the fees for. We can put out anything and start hiring our own people right now.
Well, I guess what I'm saying, if somebody works for manpower and quits manpower,
That you can't do, it's right in there. That you can't do, Mark, no.
Careful there, Mark, yeah.
Okay. Any other suggestions from board members or any other information you'd like tonight? Okay, I guess go forward and find out more information that you can provide back to us.
All right, perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. for,
If you think of anything else in between, you can always email me or call me, and we can look for more information.
All right.
It's been
Good.
interesting talking with other districts and learning. what
Yeah.
they're
Sure.
doing.
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
us,
sure, it's very different.
eye-opener.
All right. Well, thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so that covers that. And I think we'll need a motion for adjournment to executive session. Next, please.
I move the Board of Education adjourn the workshop and convene in an executive session to consider student expulsion and to reconsider if necessary, pending approval of the reconsideration motion 2016-17 administrative compensation at a future board meeting as provided in Wisconsin statutes 19.85, parenthesis 1, parenthesis A, parenthesis C, and parenthesis F. A, deliberating concerning a case which was a subject of any judicial or quasi-judicial trial or hearing before that governmental body. C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. F, considering financial, medical, social, or personal histories or disciplinary data of specific persons, preliminary consideration of specific personnel problems, or the investigation of charges against specific persons except where paragraph B applies, which, if discussed in public, would be likely to have a substantial adverse effect upon the reputation of any person referred to in such histories or data or involved in such problems or investigations.
Second.
Motion by Hayes, second by Usselman. And would the clerk please call the vote?
Breister,
Yes.
Hayes, yes. Strand,
Yes.
Usselman,
Yes.
Churchella.
Yes. Motion carries 5-0.